Well, hello, Young Adult Edition. Thank you so much for joining us once again. We have a great episode today. We have author Leslie Hauser here. We're going to do some really great stuff, and I cannot wait to get started. So here we go with our theme song. All right, well, welcome back. Thank you, Leslie, so much for joining us today. How are you?
Great. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited. We're going to learn all about your brand new book coming out this July, and I cannot wait to hear about it. But before we jump in, tell me, how's it going? Everything good? Have a good week?
Everything is good. I'm having a good week, even though I don't have spring break for another week. So we're all about to pull out our skin, but everything is going well.
Well, spring break is coming up, which is a very good thing. So, listen, as we are getting started, I want to hear all about your story, Chasing Eveline. We're going to do everything we need to know about your book in under 1 minute. So are you ready to go to tell us all we need to know about your story?
I am ready.
Fantastic. I'm going to pull up my 1 minute timer. I will wave you off when it is about 5 seconds to go, and let's see if we can do it in under a minute. You ready?
I'm ready.
Go. Whoa, hold on.
Already open.
You failed. Oh, yep. Apparently, here's what happened. This was still set from last week, and I paused it with 1 second to go so it wouldn't buzz
Get a second.
our guest. Okay. Now we're ready. Here we go. 1, 2, go.
All right. So Chasing Eveline is about Ivy. She's a 16-year-old, and her mom left Ivy and her dad about 2 years ago. And so, of course, she's dealing with the loss, but she's also dealing with that idea of how, you know, when you lose someone and then after a while the memories kind of start to fade a little bit, they're not quite as crisp. So it sets off a little bit of a panic in her. So she has decided that she needs to remain connected to her mom through music. Her mom was a huge music fan. They had an entire room in their house dedicated to her mom's music. And her mom's favorite band was Chasing Eveline, which is an Irish rock group from the 80s. They were only together for about 4 or 5 years. And so Ivy has in her mind that she needs to keep this music alive in order to stay connected with her mom. And then she gets the idea that, hey, if she could get the band to reunite, then she might be able to find her mom, because that's the only way she would know how to find her mom. So the story really follows Ivy and her friend Matt through all of their adventures in trying to reunite this Irish rock band, Chasing Eveline. The end.
Perfect. That was awesome. All right. So we're going to talk all about this story. We've got a lot that we are going to be doing today in Young Adult Edition. And if you are just joining us, I want to remind you that the chat box is over on the right side of the screen. You can go ahead and comment at any point throughout the course of today's show. If you have questions, if you have comments, let us know. We will be taking your questions at the end of the show. So post them now, but we're going to be answering them in a little bit. If you notice, there is a red question mark tab. If you hit that, it's going to highlight your question so that we can see what's a question and what's a comment. If you can't get it to work or if you can't find it, totally okay. We're still going to monitor the entire feed. We will get to your questions, but that just helps it to stand out just a little bit more for us. So if you can make that work, that would be awesome. If not, totally okay. Like I said, feel free to chat anytime, right side of the screen. I'm seeing that we've got a couple of people joining us today. Hi, Jamie. I'm so glad you're here. This is here. We know people. We've got lots of people hanging out with us today. So let us know who you are, where you're from in the chat box, and then how fabulous this whole episode is and how much you are loving having Leslie here. Let me know what you're thinking, and we will communicate that to her throughout the course of the show. We are going to jump into our next segment, which is a game. I'm really excited about this. You know, on Young Adult Edition, we love playing games, and all of our games involve confetti. We are very confetti-oriented over here, so we do have confetti today. Leslie and I both have our confetti ready to go.
Here's Mr.
Leslie is the best confetti. Mine's not as cool. Mine's blue here. I try to match the cover as close as I can. This is what I had today. This is my super cute mug. Isn't that adorable? So I will be throwing confetti today. It's all blue and lovely. That actually worked pretty well. It doesn't always fly so nicely. We are going to be playing Would You Rather. So I've got 3 questions for Leslie. She's going to have her confetti in both of her hands, and she's going to wave it or throw it, however you want to do it, Leslie, for whichever answer you want. So if you go with the first answer, which hand are you going to be using?
Right.
Okay. And if you are going to be going with the second question, you'll use your left hand and then let us know which one you're picking, and you can tell us why you are picking it.
Right.
I've tried to be a little bit tricky-ish with some of these, so let's see how you do.
Right.
This might be a little hard, I hope. Otherwise, it's going to be super easy. I don't know. It could be either one. So would you rather start writing a book and never finish it, or finish the book and absolutely hate the ending and not be able to change it?
Oh. Can I choose Christopher Walken? That's a game my friend and I played. I don't even know how it started, but when we didn't like either choice, we just said Christopher Walken.
That's hilarious.
I think I would choose probably, what was the first one again? Say it again.
You have a book, but you never finish the ending, or you finish it, but you hate the ending.
Oh, I'd choose the first one. Because then if I could never finish the ending, maybe at least in my mind, I could finish it. And even though it would bother me that the story was unfinished, it would bother me less than having a story that I hated and I couldn't do anything about.
Exactly. I am the same way. So good call there. All right. My second would you rather is going to be, would you rather have trouble finding time to listen to music or have trouble finding time to read books?
Now, that's not fair. Walking. Probably, it's going to sound horrible because I'm a writer, but I think I would rather have time not to read books because I have to have music. I just can't imagine my life without music, like even silly stuff, like on the way to work. And then if I couldn't read books, I could at least create them in my mind.
Exactly. Exactly. Perfect reasoning there. Okay, so I've got one more for you. And I feel like this one might be a little bit easier for you. I know that you and I were talking beforehand, and we're going to talk about this a little bit more, a little bit later on in the show, but I know that you kind of incorporate something into all of your stories, all of your books, and that is cupcakes. So would you rather have to eat cupcakes every single day or never be able to eat cupcakes again?
Oh my gosh. Cupcakes every day. Every day. All the cupcakes every day.
All the confetti for cupcakes. That did not work. All the confetti for cupcakes there.
Worked out very well in the end, but I would love to eat a cupcake every day.
In theory, it's a great plan.
Practice, probably not.
Okay, so like I said, we are going to be talking more about the cupcakes, why it's important, how it came to be in a little bit. But before we get to that, we are going to learn just a little bit more about your story. Now, we have heard all about it in 1 minute, everything that we needed to know. You hit all of those big topics. Now I want to talk about something exclusive in relation to your book. So on Young Adult Edition, we always ask an author to give us one exclusive piece of information about their story that they have not said anywhere else. You've got a really great one, so tell me what it is.
All right, so the story is called Chasing Eveline, but that actually wasn't the original title. The original title was The Mary Kennedys, and it actually stems from a funny incident that my friend Katie and I had. So one of our coworkers, Mary, I won't say her last name, I'll call her Mary Connolly. She almost ran us over in a Starbucks parking lot. Not intentionally, but she was going through the drive-thru and we were crossing the parking lot, and she just, like a bat out of hell, drove into the Starbucks and almost ran us over. And we thought it was funny, and we thought, oh, that'd be a funny song, Mary Connolly almost drove us over in the Starbucks. And then at that time we were also playing Wii Rock Band. That was one of our fun things to do. So we named our rock band the Mary Connollys, and it just kind of took on this whole life of its own. And so that was about the time when I started writing this book. And so when I named the band, I thought, well, it has to be that. And so I had to find an Irish name, so I named it the Mary Kennedys. But then I found out that Mary Kennedy is actually as kind of a famous Irish person. She's like the Savannah Guthrie of Ireland, apparently. So then I had to change the title, but I could never find another name that I liked, so I kind of ditched that idea, and then somehow I ended up with Chasing Eveline.
I love that. That is so fun. And I love the progression of it, too. Does your friend know that she was kind of the inspiration behind this?
No, this is just a lady that we worked with. She has no idea that she almost ran us over in a Starbucks parking lot. She has no idea that we named a rock band after her.
That's hilarious. I love that so much. One day she will find out about this. And it oh, goodness. Okay. So we've talked all about your book. We know everything we need to know. We've learned this amazing, hilarious piece of exclusive information. I want to talk to you a little bit more about you and about your life and about your week. So we always talk about the best thing that happened this week to all of our authors on Young Adult Edition. And I want to know, in the last week or so, what has been the best thing that has happened to you, Leslie?
Probably, I don't know, it's probably a little over a week old, but I'm a runner. And so I ran a half marathon through horse country, and it was beautiful. It's really beautiful there. And the other good thing was I have a foot injury because I wore high heels, which apparently I can't do anymore. So I didn't think I'd be able to run. And so I was actually able to run, and I really enjoyed it. And so I'm always happy and I'm always grateful when I can still exercise and still be out there being active.
I love that. And I love that it was through horse country too. If you guys hang out with me on any of my platforms, you know I love horses. And so to be able to run through horse country as you are doing this, that I feel just adds so much to the run.
It's so beautiful. That's the only races I'll do are races that are scenic.
I think that's so important because you need something to do as you are running. You're totally focused on running and getting where you're going, but to have that beauty around you, just love that. Okay. So now that we've touched on your week, some things that you've been doing, some things that you do personally, I want to talk a little bit more about something that connects everyone who's hanging out here on Young Adult Edition, and that is the book world, the book community. And we want to focus in on your biggest book nerd problem. So we know that as a book person, we all have issues, and we all have different issues, but they're all book nerd issues. So I want to know, what is your biggest book nerd problem?
Book nerd problem has to do with covers. So I actually have a visual. I love the Georgia Nicholson series. And so the covers originally started looking like this, kind of cartoonish a little bit. And then midway through the series, they switched up the covers. So then the later covers were like this. And so my book nerd problem is the fact that I love the whole series and the covers don't match. So even the spines, you can see. The spines originally had this nice little plaid, and then now they look different. So they're all on my bookshelf, but they don't look all pretty and organized. They look like they're mismatched. So I can't stand that when in the middle of a series, they redo the book covers. Or they do that with movies too. So redo the book cover for the movie, and that kind of thing bothers me.
That drives me nuts. There's one series that they turned into a movie, and the first book, I have the movie version, and the rest I've got the normal version, and it drives me insane. So I totally feel you here. That is such a big book nerd problem, and I feel like we don't talk about that enough. We need to bring the visual police in on this and just take care of this, because that's an issue.
I feel like they don't understand readers, because no one wants their books on the shelf to look differently. So
exactly. Bookstagram will have a fit when that happens. So we just need to tell them to get on it, and they will go talk to the publishers and get this fixed for us. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about your story. I know that we talked just a little bit about it in that 1-minute highlight, and then we talked a little bit about it with your exclusive content for us, but I want to talk a little bit more about your story. So we mentioned earlier, and I want to bring this up first because I did mention this earlier, that you have a thing about cupcakes. And I didn't really say too much about what that is other than you put it in your stories. So give me the information we need to know about this whole cupcake thing and how it fits into all of your books.
It kind of happened, and I didn't even know it was happening. So I put a cupcake in every book that I write. It's not like it's a major plot point or anything, but in a scene, I always make sure that I place a cupcake. I love cupcakes. I think that they're the perfect dessert side. I have a problem with eating too much dessert, so I can't have a whole cake in my house. So having a cupcake is the perfect thing. And so it just happened. There was a cupcake in the first book that I wrote. And then when I was writing the second one, when I was writing Chasing Eveline, I was going to have the neighbor bring something over. And then I rewrote it so that it was a cupcake. And now I've decided that I'm just going to make sure that I place a cupcake in every story that I write, because all books should have cupcakes.
You know, I agree. I feel like that's really awesome. My sister is actually a baker, so I totally love and absolutely support writing cupcakes into every book ever. And I love that you kind of have that as like a little Easter egg for all of your fans. So as they're going through all of your books, they can kind of look for that. Plus, I also feel like now that you've written it into all of your stories, all the bookstagrammers out on Instagram should now be, acquiring all of these cupcakes and surrounding your book with it to take pictures and put it out on the internet.
I know. Yes.
Okay, so we've been talking a little bit about you, your personal life, and how that's kind of influenced some of the things that you do. And I know that you were really big into music, and this story is all about music. So tell me, did you have any real life experiences or stories from your personal life that kind of influenced the story or played into what we're doing, aside from the name of the band and your coworker friend?
No, I think music is such an important part of my life, and I realized that for every event in my life, or just every moment, there's always like a song that I can associate it with. Or, like when I was growing up and, someone breaks up with you and you're sad, then you make like a breakup mix and all of that. And so I just kind of felt like, to me, this was like a big thank you to music, because music has been so important to me. And so I kind of feel like anyone who's ever, and you can date yourself accordingly, made a mixtape, or like when someone broke up with you, or you've made a mixed CD of songs to play for your friend, or like I have my iPod, my running mix, which saves me. My brother runs without music, and I don't know how he does it. And so sometimes I have to turn up the volume so loud, I'm probably going to go deaf, but it's like that's what fuels me. The music, the beat of the music is what moves my legs when I'm so tired. So it's just all stuff like that. So Chasing Eveline is really just a thank you letter to music, because it's been so important in my life. And I think anyone who's done any of those things, or like sits in front of the computer for hours on iTunes just searching for different bands to learn about, or loves going to concerts, that's the thing. If I wasn't an author, if I couldn't be a famous author, I think the next thing I'd want to be is a musician, to be up there live on stage playing music. I think that's so cool. So that's it's just my experience with music, I suppose.
I love that. That's so fascinating. And I love that you take your passion and really write it into your story and then show that love of it to your fans and let them experience it through your words. I think that is so cool. Now, speaking of things that we love and are totally cool, I want to actually bring this back to some of your characters. So we've heard a little bit about Ivy. I want to know more about your guys, because you have two main guys. You've got Matt and you've got Sean. And I know a little bit about them. I got to hear about them in advance, but I want to hear more about them. So tell me what your fans need to know before the book comes out in July.
Well, Matt is Ivy's friend. She kind of lost touch with her friends after her mom left, because she kind of just went AWOL from everybody. And then kind of everybody moved on without her. So, well, not in a mean way, but it just, as time passes. Anyway, so she became friends with Matt. Music brought them together. So I won't tell you how, because I want you to find that out in the book. But music brought them together, and he's kind of an equally abandoned soul. His parents died, and so he lives with his uncle. And they're both music enthusiasts. So that's kind of like her partner in crime. And then eventually they meet a kid named Sean, who's like a it's all hunky kid. Anyway, I won't tell you much about him, because he comes in later in the story. But it's also music, and he actually knows about Chasing Eveline. So it's music that brings them together too. That's kind of a theme throughout the book. It's like music bringing people together.
I love that. I feel like that is so fantastic. I love that you created multiple friends and characters for her to interact with that all have that kind of connection, but in unique and different ways. So I'm excited. Cannot wait for you guys to learn more about all of these characters and the story. But we are now at the point where we're actually going to be putting out our call for questions. So if you are here, and I'm seeing we've got some people who've joined us. Looks like Charlotte's here. Lorraine is here. Thanks so much for joining us, guys. The chat box is on the right side of the screen. You can go ahead and plug in any questions that you have. So anything you want to know about the story, about Leslie, ask away. If you want to use that question mark tab, feel free. That'll highlight it for us. But your questions should pop up over in that chat box so that we can get those answered for you. Now, we are on about a 10-second delay, so we are going to give you just a minute for you guys to get your questions in there. Go ahead, chat for us, let us know what you want to hear. And while we are doing that, I do have something really amazing to tell you And if you hang out with us at Young Adults Edition, you know that I love my freebie giveaways. And everything I do in all of my platforms, I give bonuses away. And it's no different here on Young Adult Edition. We have the first chapter of Leslie's story available to you right now so that you can take a look and see if you are interested. Clearly, Mr. Darcy is interested in reading the first chapter. Hi, Mr. Darcy. I'm going to pop that up for you guys. It is going to appear over the chat box. If you are live with us, you can click on that and get the first chapter right now. Download it right this second, and then you can turn around and check it out as soon as the show is done. If you are watching our rebroadcast, the link for this will be down in the show notes below. You can check that out, download your copy, and take a look at the first chapter of Leslie's story as soon as you are done watching the rest of the broadcast. So that is available to you guys right now. We're going to go over to the chat box and see what everybody is saying. Okay, I have a question for you. It looks like we want to know about your cover. So we actually have this beautiful cover. If you are live with us right now, check it out over on that right side of the screen. It's a beautiful cover. You can check in the show notes below if you would like to see the cover, if you are watching after. And, oh, perfect. We've actually got the cover right here for you. Tell me about how this cover came to be. I am a cover designer. I love hearing the behind the scenes of this, and I know you've got a really great story.
Well, this cover took a long time to come to. I think there were something 25 versions. I'm so grateful for my publisher and name publisher and my designer because he really kept going until I got what I wanted. So it started out, it was a little more like electronic, that sense of music, a little more like concert feel. And the story kind of has like a whimsical quality, like a hopeful, whimsical quality to it. And I just wasn't feeling it. And so we went through, I think, 3 rounds. The 3rd round, there were finally some choices that I liked. And so there were a couple that I was going to settle on. And then I guess you just happened to be designing another cover and had this idea and threw this one out there. And when I opened the screen, I gasped. I thought this was it. And I love how on the screen, I don't know if you can see it, we don't need to see my face. So I love that the hearts are coming out of the guitar and then they're morphing into butterflies and the pink morphing into the blue. I love that it has meaning. It's kind of symbolic with the story. So this was it. It took a while to get here.
And I'm a big fan of the color choices too. I absolutely love how those colors kind of work together, really give you that whimsical feel like you were talking about. So good job. Absolutely love that. I'm checking out another question. They would like to know what inspired the story. So go a little more in depth on how you got the inspiration behind your story.
I think it was a combination of, playing Wii Rock Band, which is really probably embarrassing to admit, but just that, because I was, just that feel of like being part of the band. And like I said, just the music. And I don't know what the moment was that I settled on that, but I just realized that there were all these bands that were so important to me and music was so important to me. And the way I feel when I go to a concert and see a band play, that I had to write a story that celebrated all of that. And so I think the timing of it coincided with the playing Wii Rock Band. And so that is an embarrassing admission, but I think that had a lot to do with it.
I feel like at some point, maybe for your release, you kind of have to have some rock band themed party there. I feel like it might be helpful. Okay, Charlotte would like to know, how did you pick Indiana as the setting for this book?
That's a good question. Thank you, Charlotte. I'm from Ohio originally, Cincinnati. And so I grew up in the Midwest, kind of my younger formative years. And then we moved to California. So my childhood, I kind of spent 50-50, but I really associate a lot with the Midwest. My mom's from Indiana. My dad's from Ohio. And so I love going back there. And so I just wanted to set this story somewhere kind of where it was important to me. And the Midwest, really, the lifestyle there and all of that, it just plays a really important role in my life. So kind of like music does. So that's how I chose the setting for it.
I love that. I think that's so sweet. And I love that you kind of pulled in your family to that as well. So that was kind of very nice for me to hear. I feel like that's very nice for all of us to hear, to pull in the things that mean or that have meaning to you and are important to you. Lorraine would like to know, or Lorraine is saying, I see that you are a dog lover. Does this book does this book or any of your other books feature a dog? If not, would you consider that for a future book?
Yes, Ivy has a dog. His name's Jackson. He's a lab, so he's not a Mr. Darcy, but he was a post mom left me feel good present from her dad. So, and actually, Jackson is the story behind Jackson is the story behind my dog when I was growing up, Boomer. Boomer was our second dog, and we got him. We went to the breeder, and all the dogs were playing around and running around, and there was this little black and white Shih Tzu, and he was just over in the corner underneath a chair, just sitting there. And I fell in love with him, and so we picked him, and that's kind of his personality the whole time. Is he was just very quiet, very quiet dog. And so that's kind of how they picked out Jackson too. So that actual story and how she picked out Jackson was based on a story from my life.
I love that. And I love that you brought in that story of your childhood dog too. I feel like that's great. So let me ask you before I ask these other questions. I know that you are a little dog person. So how did you pick a bigger dog for this story?
I don't know. Maybe to be different. I don't know. I think I think because I wanted him to be more of like a dog that you would run with and kind of not cuddle with. So, and I honestly, I don't know. I don't remember. He just became that. He picked himself. Sometimes that happens when I write. They just characters kind of decide things on their own.
I hear you there. When I'm writing, my characters like to take control sometimes. So that definitely happens. I feel like it's the first time I've heard of a dog character taking over, but I absolutely love it. Okay, we are getting a question about the pronunciation of your title. So say it one more time for me.
Eveline, as in the story from Dubliners by James Joyce.
Perfect. Okay, I'm getting a question. Why do you choose to write young adults?
I missed half. Why do I choose to write and then I missed the rest of it?
Oh, sorry. Glitchy tech. Gotta love it. Why do you choose to write in the young adult genre?
The first novel I wrote was a women's fiction novel. I call it my practice novel now. I'm super embarrassed that I actually sent it out. But it was kind of like the exercise to get through it. It took me like 4 or 5 years. But it was kind of like when I finished it, then I knew I could do this. And then I don't know how it happened, but I took a course online on young adult writing where an agent taught it, so you could kind of get, what the agents are looking for, what people are looking for. And I had already started a story, and so that kind of I stuck with that. And I think it's almost, and this is embarrassing to admit too, but I think I almost think more like a young adult than I would as like an adult writer. So it's something that I have a lot to say about. I have a lot of thoughts about my young adult years. And I have a lot to say about that. And also I'm a teacher, so I love reading young adult. So that's the other thing too. I've been reading a lot of young adult literature for a lot of years. And so it's kind of just where I feel most comfortable.
Okay, so we're going to wrap it up with this question. How long did it take you to write this book?
A summer. So that's what I do now. Since I'm a teacher, I'm not one of those people that can like write a little bit at a time. I have to totally immerse myself in it. So what I do during the summers is it becomes like my full-time job. So from like 8 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon or whatever, then I work on the writing and the editing. So I can usually knock it out in about 3 weeks. So, and then all the editing. But yeah, I write them during the summer.
That's fantastic. And I love that you do that too. And you're fully committed to your teaching, and then you're fully committed to your writing. Absolutely love that. All right. So listen, guys, we are at the point where we actually need to start wrapping this up. Thank you so much for your questions. If you have more questions, pop them in the chat box or hit me up on social media, and we will try to get those answered for you throughout the course of the week if you have additional questions. Make sure that you are getting your hands on that copy of the first chapter. It is still up near your chat room or down in the show notes below if you're watching our rebroadcast. We are going to wrap this up with kisses and confetti. So that is a section of our show where we get our confetti ready, and we actually talk about kisses and confetti. Our kisses are for the things that we love this week, and our confetti is for the people we love this week. So, Leslie, what do we have as far as your kisses go, those things that you love this week?
Let's see. Well, of course, I'm going to say music. I'm so grateful for music. I just discovered a few new bands while searching on iTunes, so I'm excited about that. I'm always grateful for running. I also do CrossFit, so I'm grateful for that as well. And of course, I'm grateful for cupcakes.
Cupcakes, that is the big one, right?
I think I should
On
say
your
books.
release date. What was that?
I suppose I should say books too. I'm grateful for books.
Books, yes. On your release day, you need to get some special cupcake for the release of your book, I feel like. I feel like that should be your treat every time you release a new book.
Yes, it will.
Okay, so now talk to me about your confetti, the
Okay.
people that we love this week.
First, I have to get my confetti. Mr. Darcy stole all of it, so reach down and get one of my confettis. Okay. People that I love. Well, of course, I'm going to say my friends and family. I'm so grateful to them for all their support. Like some of my friends have tuned in here today. So they're definitely making all of this possible. I'm very grateful for Mr. Darcy. He is like my best friend, and he's such a good dog. And I'm really grateful for the people in the writing community online. You know, it's funny. It's like I know these people, but I don't really know them. Like this is the first time you and I have like talked face to face. But you know, like all these people we're the two of us are on this serendipity tour together, a book tour, and everyone's so supportive and you know, reaching out on social media to promote each other. And I've just found that all across social media with the author crowd. And I'm just very grateful for that. I think it's really a great thing. So, yay.
I agree. The author community is fantastic. And I'm really impressed because my confetti has been working so well today. It doesn't always work so well. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today. I do have a couple of announcements, but Leslie, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Listen, guys, here's what you need to know. The next 2 weeks, we are on break here at Young Adult Edition and over at RTTV, which is our Reading Transforms television. Next week is Easter, and then I am actually going to be out of state for a week. I'm going to Texas. So if anybody has any good recommendations for San Antonio, pop them in the chat box. I want to hear where I should be hitting up when I'm over in San Antonio. We are coming back after those 2 weeks, and we've got some really great shows planned for you. I'm so excited for it, and I cannot wait to see you back. Now, if you are an author, I hope you will be joining me over at RTTV in just about half an hour. We're going to be talking all about Instagram stories versus Snapchat, when and why you should be using them as an author. So we're going to break down a whole bunch of really great stuff that you need to know all about Instagram stories and how to use that as an author, and Snapchat and how to use that as an author, and when you should and should not be using them. So I hope you'll join me, rttvlive.readingtransforms.com. And like I said, we are off the next 2 weeks for Easter, so happy Easter, guys. I hope you have a great holiday, and we will see you in just a few weeks. Thanks so much for joining us, and I will see you soon. Bye, guys.